The Secrets of Technology is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give. Hi, I'm Dom Bettinelli, and you're listening to The Secrets of Technology, where we discuss the technology news that's important to you from a uniquely Catholic point of view. And joining me today on the panel are Pat Scott. Hey, Pat.
Hi, greetings.
And Andrew Hermiz. Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Dom.
So today we have, it's summertime here in the Northern Hemisphere, so it's a traditional holiday and travel time, although there's people travel around the year round, whether it's Christmas or whatnot. So, but what makes this proximate for me is that in 2 weeks, I will be heading out on about 2 weeks, or actually less than a week, 2 weeks. I'll be heading out on a pilgrimage, the StarQuest Media pilgrimage to Italy with Jimmy Akin's Mysterious World. We're a group of about 60 pilgrims are going on this pilgrimage, and we're going to spend 12 days in Italy going to various mysterious sites. And one of the pilgrims going, who's also a listener to the show, said, hey, could you guys talk about some of the tech for travel? What kinds of apps, what kinds of hardware do I need when we're traveling? And so we're going to talk about tech for traveling. And this is tech for whether you're flying domestically, if you're an American, or you're going overseas from Europe to the U.S. or U.S. to Europe or Asia, or wherever you're going. Pretty much all of these will help you understand what kind of tech would be useful for you on your flying and traveling. Pat, I know you travel quite a bit, at least in the U.S.
Yeah, up to your place and then out to my brothers at various times, and sometimes to California. Again, brothers, yeah.
Yep.
I used to travel a lot more, but it's a little bit less now.
That can be good. Andrew, do you get to travel very much away from home?
Yeah, and honestly, this year did quite a bit of traveling. In April, we did a family trip with the kids to London and Paris.
Ooh.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
So you know this.
Yeah. I have all sorts of opinions on this stuff, but
yep.
We did that, and then just a couple weeks ago or last week, just got back from Michigan. I have a lot of family there, so had a cousin's wedding, and also took the kids. So definitely doing a lot of prep, right. Traveling with kids. Like that was like the London trip was our first time traveling internationally with the kids, with a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Wow.
So yeah, it was
from California. That's a long trip. Flight.
Yeah. So about a 10.5 hour flight directly to London.
I salute you, sir.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I feel very accomplished, and I think successfully, having a good trip, and the kids did a lot better than I thought they would. So I'll give them that. But yeah, I do love to travel. My wife and I love to travel.
Excellent.
Yeah, so it's something that we try to do as often as we can. And now that we have kids that are old enough to take abroad, we try to do it as much as we can.
Oh, cool.
Excellent. So we get a variety of perspectives, that you've got family with small kids. Pat, you travel by yourself. I don't travel as much as others. I think the last flight I took before this was before COVID, actually. I was looking at my TripIt, which I'll talk about in a second. And I'm like, oh, that was a while ago. I was down to Texas for your anniversary, your 50th.
50th, yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a while since I've been on a flight. In fact, everyone in my family has flown more recently than me, which isn't fair.
No.
Anyway, and it doesn't have to be the flying. You can also be, driving. So a lot of this stuff will help with that sort of thing. But a lot of this is kind of focused on longer flying trips. Well, let's get into it instead of the preliminaries. I want to first talk about an app that we've talked about on this show before. In fact, I know that Father Andrew Kinstetter picked this as his pick of the week once, which is Flighty. at flighty.com. And Flighty is, I think it's both Android and iOS. I'm not certain because they only show the iPhone on their site. So it might be.
I thought I heard that it didn't go on Android, but that may be a misremembering.
Okay, so Android folks, you'll have to bear with me for a second while I gush about Flighty, because this is a great app. So it does have a subscription. It's not too much, but it does have. You can do it where it's pay as you go, week by week. If you don't travel very much, that's not a bad deal. $4 for a week. There is an annual where you pay for the whole year, and you for that you can do $4 a month. So basically, if you pay 4 times 12 up front, so $48, you're pretty much you get it for the whole year. There's also, if you're a road warrior, there's a lifetime version, and for some people that this app is so good that it would be worth it for some people to get it, to pay $250 for it. So what does it do? So you put your flights in, and it does all the work for you of figuring out what gate you're going to be at when it's time to go to the airport, when you need to leave home, whether there'll be delays. In fact, I've heard it's people who use this app say that sometimes they find out about flight delays in Flighty before the airline's app even tells them, has the information. Like they have access somehow to the system that maybe it's illegal, maybe they're hacked in, but I don't care because it's good information. So they have they do live activities. So if you've got a iPhone that's only a few, within the last few years, it will do the thing where it pops up at the top of the screen on that dynamic island and will give you the current information, the gate, and the how far out the plane is, and all that sort of stuff. It'll even guide you through the airport to your gate, and it's just lots of great stuff. It'll do 24 hours in advance where your plane that you're going to be flying on is at this time. It's got weather and weather delays. It's got arrival forecast, predicted departure times, all kinds of things to help you get through your connecting flight. So it's got all kinds of great stuff. It's got a watch app, the watch complication on the Apple Watch. So really, it's a great app, and it integrates with TripIt and your calendar and that sort of stuff. And then the other thing is you can then have Flighty friends and share your flight information, either by flight or just all your flight information, with another Flighty user. So, for example, like if my wife Melanie, I have her put the app on her phone, we can be Flighty friends. I want her to see all my flights. That sort of stuff. So, and then Pat, I will give you make you a Flighty friend. So because Pat's coming up here to stay with our kids. So I want you to have all my flight information. So I will make you a Flighty friend and you'll get all that information. When my girls flew down to Texas, they had that. I was able to keep track of them and when they were coming back and, that their plane got there. And
they included me too. So I was able to see all that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a great app. I can't say enough good things about it. And so check it out, flighty.com. But of course, the old standard for flight tracking, keeping track of your flights is TripIt. Pat, you use TripIt. What do you think of it? I
haven't been using it for the last several years. I did in the beginning, but so you probably have more experience than I have on that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the way TripIt works is you basically I'm just trying to sign in because I got signed out somehow. But you once you have an account, you get this email address that you can email your flight information to. So when you book a flight, the airline will send you an email, and you just forward that email, the whole thing. Just you don't have to edit it or anything. You forward that email to the TripIt address, and it puts it into TripIt, and it creates an itinerary and helps you keep track of it. Keeps you informed of delays, of changes, gates, all that sort of stuff. A lot of the similar things that Flighty does, but not quite as good in my opinion as Flighty. It's like, but it also keeps track of hotels, car reservations, all that sort of thing. So and a lot of this stuff it offers lets you do it for free in the app, so that's good. It does have some more advanced features for the folks who are more road warriors of a sort. So it's I'm just trying to pull it. It doesn't have all my trips. So it integrates with Flighty, and it's supposed to get all my information in there. I guess I must have messed something up where I didn't send it my flights that I put into Flighty, so they're not in there yet. But it has all my historical flights going back to 2010. I have flights in here from that far back, so actually even further back.
Well, when I was using it, it went through my Gmail mailbox. And so I'm interested to see that now it's a separate email that you send it to. That means it's better security. I think that's one of the reasons I stopped doing it, because I was thinking, well, it can see everything in my mail. And
yeah, I think you can give it permission to do that still, but you don't have to. You can just have an email address.
Yeah.
That
and I do remember it was very helpful because it would, populate my stuff in a way that I could look at it.
Right.
I used it for the first time.
Yeah.
I used it for the first time for this London trip that we did. And we mainly use it for just keeping track of all of our activities. We would, that's basically what we used to, if we booked like a tour or we got tickets to something,
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. We just live on there. So we didn't really rely on it for the flight information sort of stuff. But yeah, for planning the trip and keeping track of all of our, again, like e-tickets and our links to our like we did like a My Maps, like Google My Maps, kind of tracking all the sites we were gonna see. It all lived on TripIt. So
excellent.
Yeah. So yeah, for using it for the first time, it was really helpful in that respect.
Yeah, I think the difference is that it's more about keeping track of the whole trip and all the parts and pieces, as opposed to Flighty is really just the flights. They can work together. I think that's the great thing.
A cool iOS feature is if you just text yourself your flight number, it generates a link in your iMessage, and you can open the link and it shows all your flight information, whether it's delayed and stuff like that. So
that's cool.
Right.
I thought that's pretty cool. Like my wife recently had to fly for school, and she just texted me literally just her flight number, and it generates a link right in your text.
Wow.
With all the information. So it was, I thought that's something neat that a lot of people might not know about.
That is very cool. You're right. There's I think goes back called data detectors, and there are certain kinds of data that it's aware of in various formats. And like an airline flight is usually a couple letters and 4 numbers or something like that. Right. And so it assumes that's a flight. That's really cool. And I think Android has something similar to that. I think especially if you just throw a flight number into Google, it will give you the same sort of information. So you can try that as well. And the next app I want to talk about is called Flight Aware. It's a flight tracker app, and basically what it does is this is really great on iPad because it's a bigger screen, but it will work on iPhone and Android. And what it is it's literally a flight tracker. It gives you a aerial map and it will show you all the flights on the map and where they are, and you can also track one particular flight if you wish. This is great if you're trying to follow somebody's plane, just like.
And it does have all the features of being able to put in your information, and it will show you the stuff in the app about your flights and all that type of thing. The nicest thing that I found was it was free, and because I noticed their premium plan is like $44 a month,
right,
for professional travelers and higher for business travelers. So I've just been using this one a long time, so I'm real comfortable with it. But it doesn't show you a lot of the things that your Flighty does. That's true.
Right. Yeah. This like Flight Aware, like it has features that are for pilots, even professional pilots. So it's a powerful app. It's got lots in there. Another one that's similar is Plane Finder at planefinder.net, and this is a website that you can go to, and if you pull it up, you see all the planes in the air. Right,
it was a little overwhelming.
It's wild, and when you have like 9/11 events or when they
weather,
or I was thinking like the map over Iran when they were bombing over there. You saw like suddenly all the planes just go around Iran, except this one plane went. I think it was coming from somewhere in Asia, and it was just like the lone plane crossing Iran, and someone put a caption on it: "Leroy Jenkins."
Yes,
which is an old internet meme. That was pretty wild. But Plane Finder, especially if you're a plane geek, you just want to look at planes, and you can zoom in anywhere on the map, and to see planes coming and going in different locations. So that's really cool. So those are all flight related apps. The next one I want to talk about is one I recently used on a road trip called Weather on the Way, and this one is also an iPhone app. But I didn't find one, but I'm sure there are others like it. What I really wanted was a weather app that didn't tell me what the weather was going to be where I was going. I want to know what the weather is going to be all along this multi-hour trip. When I am halfway through at this time, what's the weather going to be there? Because, when you're driving on a long trip, and that's the thing, it's like a 5-hour trip, 2.5 hours in, what's the weather going to be like at that location? I want to know what the weather's going to be like on the way. And this is especially great for professionals like truck drivers or professional drivers of various sorts. But if you're a family going on a road trip vacation, it's also really useful. And so with this one, you put in, your start location, your ending location, and ahead of time, you can say, I'm going to be leaving at this time. And you can specify the route, because there's usually different routes you can take. You specify which route you're going to be taking. And there's a way to integrate it actually with Google Maps or Apple Maps. And then you can see what the weather will be, the forecast is for the trip where you're going. That's great, because especially if you have options, you could maybe route around bad weather depending on the type of road trip you're going on.
And are not planning on being at a picnic table for lunch when the deluge is coming down.
Exactly. It does have CarPlay support, so if you're lucky enough to have a big screen, it'll be on the big screen in your car. So that's really great. There is a paid version, but for most people, you don't need the paid version. I'm just trying to find the exact details of what the paid version offers. Versus, I remember looking it up at the time I got it, and I haven't looked at it since. And I thought, well, the paid version is really for, again, like professional drivers. It's got the sorts of features that someone's a truck driver or something like that would need, not just like folks on family vacation. So that's another one to check out. And then, otherwise, I don't really know of any other weather, like standard weather apps are probably fine. I mean, I didn't want to get into weather apps unless you guys have a particular one you think is pretty good for travel. One thing that may be worthwhile is, just occurring to me now, there's a website where, and you might have to Google, maybe I'll Google, there's a website that will tell you the most reliable sources for weather forecasting for particular locales. So I did this for where I live. Which one is the best source? Like, because certain weather apps will let you choose which source they're getting their weather data from, and so I choose the one that's best where I am. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best wherever I'm going. So I might want to, if I think about it, look at the place where I'm going and find out what's going to be the best weather forecasting source for that location. I need to look that up and put that in the show notes. That website, but yeah, I'll have to remember to do that. But that's an option too. One thing I would suggest is if you're going to a particular place, there are often apps for that place, like guide apps. So for instance, there's a new app called RomePilgrim.com that was made just for the Jubilee year that we're having now. It is an Android and iOS app, and it has all kinds of information about Rome from the perspective of a pilgrim. So it's got all the various spiritual sites, all the historical places, churches and basilicas, saints, relics, and tombs, sacred art and icons, other sacred sites, pilgrim routes. So you could do the 7 churches of Rome, which is a traditional walk around Rome, or the St. Peter's Path, or St. Paul's Path, that sort of thing. And then it's got information about popular places like Santa Maria in Trastevere and the Basilica of San Clemente in Laterano. St. John Lateran,
Right.
St. Clement in Lateran. Sorry, I got to get better at my Italian rapidly. And so this one is a really nice app, but there are other apps. I remember when my family drove to Gettysburg a few years ago, we had a really great Gettysburg guide app that we had in the car. Gettysburg is great for like driving from place to place. And it would, as you got to each place, each significant historical place, it would play a sound file from a historian telling you about what happened there, at the Battle of Gettysburg. So keep an eye out for apps like that for places that you're traveling. Definitely. So Pat, what do you have also in the realm of apps sort of things?
Well, I find that there were two types of apps that really helped me. One was the TSA app, because sometimes you don't know how big the lines are or how crowded it is. And to have the TSA app where you can pull it up and say, oh, it's a 2-hour wait or it's a 15-minute wait through, the clear or the regular one. That I found, and also if you have any questions about what's valid for travel, they keep that up to date, and so you can know whether you have to keep something out or take it off or whatever, all those factors. So that helped me, and since I tend to get to the airports really early and I don't like walking a long way, I like apps that show me where the food spots are and whether they're even worth going to. I want a rating system of some sort. And so Starbucks, if you're a Starbucks fan, they have their own app where you can actually get to the airport, order the stuff, and by the time you walk over there, it's ready for you. So I like that one. And then I haven't tried this one because there were some other ones that I had that are defunct now. But the one I saw had the best ratings was GetGrab.com, and they have an app that shows you where the food is, at what gates, they rank how the food is and that type of thing. And I think they even let you order ahead in those apps too.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
I'm just a foodie. I want to know where the legal seafood is in the Boston airport.
The donkeys.
Nice.
Got to get my donkeys.
Yeah, well, I'm going to Starbucks.
Donkeys.
You can get your donkey.
They won't let you take donkeys to the TSA.
I do that Starbucks order ahead all the time. That's a
Oh,
good tip.
it's really hot,
Yeah.
and you get a lot of mean looks from people that are standing in the line, and so there was a whole discussion on they shouldn't allow this app, or everybody says yes, use it.
Yeah, they should
It was a
allow
real
because
dichotomy.
how to use it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that TSA app is nice because it'll tell you what wait times are like right now and that sort of thing. Yeah, like you said. So that's pretty good. And then I like the idea of the like when you get a long layover, you're gonna need to grab a bite to eat. And I don't fly enough to be in like a Delta lounge or something like that.
No.
I'm among the plebeians out there eating a wrap sandwich from fast food stand. So having an idea of what's where, and sometimes just a few gates over, there's a nicer thing. And so if you have a map that tells you that's really handy.
and if you're kind of restricted how far you can walk, what's in the area you're going to be, that type of thing, and find the wine bar and that type of thing. But there's been a couple times I thought, well, that looks good, and then I look at the rating and it's 2 out of 5.
Oh, yeah.
So I said, well, I think I'll try something else.
Right. Andrew, did you have an app that you wanted to recommend?
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're traveling internationally or to a city that has a really good public transportation system that you're going to utilize, City Mapper is like a godsend.
I hadn't heard of it.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. So again, example, being in London and in Paris, we would take the tube a lot. In London, their subway system, their train system, and City Mapper, you just input the place you're trying to get to. It'll give you walking directions to the station and give you a list of, the times of, when the when the train's going to arrive and depart and all that. And it's super accurate. It takes all the thinking out of it, so, and it all lives on one app, and it'll give you, if the city has like a subway system or train system, it'll give you directions for that, and what's the fastest route and when to get off, when to get on, where to stop and transfer and all that. But if you want to take a taxi, it'll tell you how long it'll take to take a taxi there. It'll give you obviously walking directions anywhere you want to go around the city, and give you real time, like times and estimates and what's the quickest way to get there. So I highly recommend that app, especially again if you're in a city especially if you're in a city where you're going to use the public transportation, or if you're going to walk a lot, even like I'm sure Google Maps and Apple Maps does a good job too, but City Mapper, I at least for London and Paris, when I was researching like what apps do people use to get around, City Mapper was always like number one, like even above.
Does it include points of interest or discuss those types of things too? Is there strictly a transportation?
It does give you points of interest. So on the map, similar to like an Apple or Google Maps, it'll highlight like the
Coliseum, that type of thing.
Yeah. So exactly. It has. So I'm looking here real quick.
I think what sets it apart is that it's designed for people who aren't from that place,
right?
And
yes, absolutely
can create a slightly different perspective than if you're using, say, Apple Maps or Google Maps, which is not specifically set up for people who aren't from that place. So I get why that.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm gonna have to try that for Boston. No.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Boston right now on it, and it is pretty good. It's got all the T stops, the bus stops, and then all the like various related amenities nearby. That's pretty cool. That's pretty good. And it's free with ads, and then you can pay to remove the ads. So it's a nice feature as well. Excellent. Those are some great apps. So let's move to hardware, because when you're traveling, especially if you're traveling overseas, we have different, we're bringing our tech, we have different needs for our tech, and a lot of this will be focused, some will be focused on powering our devices. Some of it is going to be focused on keeping track of our devices. So let's get into that. The first one I want to talk about is one I picked up from the 12 South, and it's called the Plug Bug. And what it is it's a, you can get it in 50 watt or 120 watt, and it's a power supply that you it does the standard thing. You plug it in the wall, you plug in some USB-C cables, and you're powering things. What makes it different is it has a built-in Find My AirTag. Like the AirTag technology is built into it so that you can keep track of it. So, because you ask anyone who travels a lot, they'll tell you about the times that they left their USB plug charger thing plugged into the wall behind the baseboard and walked away. The great thing about Find My stuff is it alerts you when you leave it behind. Like, hey, did you mean to leave this back here? Oh, shoot, I got to go back and grab it. So it's really nice. It comes in US version and travel version, or international version. So the travel version lets you plug it in. It comes with alternate
plugs.
It'll convert the power for you. That's what I'm trying to say.
Not just the plug, but also the conversion. Yeah.
Yes, I think. I think it must convert the power.
You have to, yeah.
It would have to, yeah. So really nice feature, and it has what is it? Four USB-C ports in it, so you can. And
no A's.
Watts no A's anymore.
You have to take your converter little plug with it.
yeah. But it 120 watts is enough to charge a laptop and a phone and your AirPods and all that sort of stuff. So that's pretty cool. And again, it's AirTag, so it is kind of Apple specific in that sense. But you can charge, power's power. You can charge anything with it. Then the other thing is a listener, Ted, who suggested this topic, he suggested a universal travel adapter. Now, we kind of alluded to this. There are two things that we're used to. There's power converters and power adapters. Different countries have different plugs, just shapes of plugs. Most of them are better than ours, safer than ours. The U.S. where the usually ours is the best way, freedom plugs, but no, ours are less safe than most. But the other thing is we also have different voltages. We do 120 volts here. Most countries are 220 in other places, and so you have to adapt the power for different kinds of devices. And in the past, you had to bring a big, heavy power converter. I mean, I had one, I think back in 2010 or when I went to World Youth Day in Madrid, I guess. I had this big, it felt like 5-pound weight in my bag, just so I could plug in stuff. But now, most electronics that we buy, whether it's your phone, your laptop, whatever, they can do the power conversion internally. It's gotten slim enough where as long as you have the right shaped plug, you're good to go on the other end. So you probably don't need a power converter, but if you need a power adapter, this one is most is going to be on Amazon. There's a ton of them out there. They usually have those 4 or 5 letter names that are all caps, random letters, Chinese companies.
Yes.
And a lot of them look the same, just with different names on them. So that's kind of what you're looking at. But this is the Tessan 100-watt gallium arsenide universal travel adapter. Gallium arsenide is a great technology. So this isn't just a plug; it's a power source. It gives 100 watts of power, and it has 2 USB-C, 2 USB-A, and it has outlets to plug into. You can plug like regular plugs into it. And what's cool about it is with the press of different buttons on the side, you can change what it plugs into to fit a bunch of different countries. So this particular one I'll link to works for most of Europe and Australia because they have similar plugs that they can use. There are other ones for other parts of the world as well. So there's that, and then a couple others. There's a Epica. I don't know what, kind of weird. But it's another one. It's a block. It's the same sort of thing. By the pressing of certain levers on the side, it pushes out different shaped prongs, and so for different countries. So that one, this one's like $22. The other one was $44. And then there's the Jisoo Life handheld. Oh no, that's something different. That's not a power thing. What I found, I did some research. A lot of people were saying good things about this other company called Septics, which is not a great name, but it's CEPTICS. Folks, if you're not from the U.S., that means it's something different here. So you know. But they have a travel power strip, which is nice. It has a short length of cable that plugs in the wall, and then it's got 2 outlets, 2 regular power outlets, and then several USB ports. USB, what is it? An USB-A and a USB-C. So not a lot of ports, but a couple there. But that's well reviewed, and it comes with a bunch of plug adapters for different countries. So there's that one, and they also have I bought that for me to take on my trip, as well as they have a different what is it? It's not the is that the same link? I think I just clicked on the same link. It is the same link. There's a travel adapter plug set, so it's just a straight through plug. That you plug your device in on the other side, and it's just adapted to the different shaped plug on the other side. Oh, there it is. Yeah. I got the Italian one. You can get ones for different countries, or you get the world set, which is $30. I mean, it's not super expensive, but I only need the one for Italy. So you pick the one for your country. So do you guys have Andrew, when you traveled to London and Paris, what did you do for power adapters? Yeah,
I just bought like the wall plug-in ones. So So it's like it plugs like the ones that you just plug directly into the outlet, and it comes with like 2 regular outlets and then USB-Cs along the side, and I think USB-A as well. And I had to, and I bought one for London and one for Paris because London uses a different one than the rest of Europe. Most of the of course, right? Brexit. But,
just kidding.
yeah, that's all I use. But I didn't even need it because our hotel room had all the
wow, that's nice to know.
Yeah, had US plugs and converters and all that. So, I'm sure. You know, if you don't know that if your hotel is going to offer that, then, you know, it's good to just have it handy, or you never know when you might need it. And then other than that, I would keep like just a nice portable charger, always charge, you know, for charging on the go. And I'll talk a little bit more about that for picks of the week. But that's mainly what I relied on.
Yeah, that's actually interesting. If you. You know, the hotels will probably like American hotels will have USB-A and USB-C plugs to plug your stuff into, to charge off of. So that's a possibility as well.
Unless you're worried about security.
I was just about to say, you got to be a little concerned, you know, safety. There are adapters you can buy on Amazon that are power pass-through only. Yeah. So that if you ever feel weird, they can't pass data. So you plug it in first, then you plug your device into the other end. And so it can't pass data. Even if it's a sneaky pretending to be just a power port, but it's also a data port. It filters. There's no wires for the data, so it can't.
That's cool.
Suck data out. Those are a couple dollars on. And so everyone should have a couple of those in their computer bag. I
haven't gotten one yet, so that gives me a good inclination to do that. I've always got ones that plug into the wall, but that would be good to have.
Yeah, if you're out at a coffee shop and you just want to plug into, a USB outlet that's there just on the table, that's a nice way to do it without having to worry about data being sucked out of your device. So that's that's power. I want to quickly talk about the tracking. So tile trackers are still a thing. In fact, Tile just got bought by Life 360, which is interesting. So they're now part of the bigger Life 360 tracking empire. If you
That's
want,
scary.
I know. I've moved away from tile trackers to AirTags, and I bought a bunch more. But if you have AirTags, you want to go to elevationlab.com because these guys have AirTag holders for everything. It is amazing, the different AirTag holders. So I got a bunch of like the AirTags on security cables. So they're hard to cut, not impossible to cut, but hard to cut security cables for bags. But they also have fabric ones where you can put it in the case, and then it's malleable so that it moves with, like, if you have a soft case, like a soft bag, like a backpack or something, you can put it inside so no one knows it's there, but it adheres to it in such a way as it holds tight to the case. Now, when that battery runs out, you have to kind of cut it to get it open. So it's a one-time use sort of thing. But they have other ones. They have magnetic ones. They have dog collar ones. They have I have one of them for my Kindle that's a weatherproof one. They have a mountain bike one. Like all kinds of AirTag cases for mounting them on things. They even have one called a 10-year battery case. And what it is you put the AirTag in it without the back on, with the battery case back. It attaches to some connections, some leads, and then it's inside this larger case that holds a bunch of AA batteries that you put long-term storage batteries in, and they call it the 10-year battery case. So this is for stuff like that you put in storage. You don't want to have to think about, has the battery on the AirTag died, before you go on your trip, like you put it in your go bag or whatever, that sort of thing. So Elevation Lab has a ton of different ones. I'll link to the ones that I decided to get, the fabric mount and the security cable. So there's those. The the power cord from 12 South is also another one, which is just a small. It's very simple. It's a power plug on one side and a USB-C on the other. Very simple, straightforward. Does what it says. Not dated at all. So that's a nice, very simple one. And then when I sleep, I need a fan in my house, and it's very hard for me to sleep without a fan. So I needed to get a small handheld fan. It's
going to be hard to hold it when you're sleeping, though.
Well, the nice thing about this one, the Jisoo Elite Life handheld mini fan, it folds. It's really small. It's like they call it like lipstick case size. I don't know. I don't own lipstick, so I don't know. But it's really small. But it folds open such that it will stand on its own. And it doesn't have like a cage around the fan, but it's really kind of neat because if you touch it even slightly, it stops. So if you're your alarm's going off on your phone and you reach out to turn it off, you don't get your fingers chopped. that's not a fun way to wake up.
No,
it stops the fan. But it also functions as a emergency power bank. You can charge your phone off of it if you get it in your pocket. So it's really a nice little fan. And I tried it out. It put on a side table next to the bed. It blows enough air that, for me at least, it's sufficient. I don't know. It's going to be Rome in the middle of summer. I don't know.
Yeah. You might want to pack a few more of those.
I'm not sure if like a turbojet engine next to me might not keep me cool. So we'll see. Any other hardware ideas for travel before we move to my last category?
No, you mentioned the AirTag and you wanted to put it in your luggage. I just have a couple of just fabric, like jewelry bags, things that I just pop them in there and put them in the bottom of my suitcase. But I usually try to put them in a pocket that's facing out and has a zipper that I can lock with my TSA lock. But that way, it's protected. It isn't roaming around loose, but it's easy to get in and out.
That's good. That's true. That's a good idea too. Yes. Yeah. It's a nice, simple way to do it too.
You don't have to cut the fabric then.
Right. That's true. Yeah. This is a slightly more elaborate case or holder, but that's a simpler way of doing it. So the last thing is, if you're traveling, even within the same country, sometimes you need a new. You're going to need to be on a different network. You don't want to roam with your phone on a different network. You want to get an eSIM. Most phones sold within the last 3-4 years can take an eSIM. They don't take the physical SIM card anymore, and they can have 2 SIMs: your regular one and then a secondary one, which usually is for travel, right? So I sometimes get an eSIM when I'm traveling because I have Mint Mobile. But Mint uses the T-Mobile network, and it's not the greatest network. It's great for where I live, and it's really cheap. But when I go, especially like camping with the Scouts, sometimes out in the woods, Verizon is a better, or AT&T is better out there. So I get an eSIM for the weekend, that sort of thing. So, but if you're traveling overseas, you definitely want to get an eSIM for wherever you're going. So one of the great places to go to figure out what to get for an eSIM is this website called eSIMDB.com. And it's basically a database of all these different companies. You pick the country you're going to, and then it gives you all the different companies and their plans, and you can get 5 gigabytes for 30 days, 30 gigabytes for a week, whatever it is you want, unlimited. Of course, you pay more depending on or less depending on what you're choosing, and so there's a lot of options. So you kind of want to go through it and look, but they'll tell you, these are the most popular, the 3 most popular for the country you've chosen, and and you can buy the eSIM. Now this is for data, right? This is when you buy it, the eSIM, you're using it. You can
for your map programs,
right. But you can, these days you can do FaceTime or the Google equivalent instead of making phone calls to people. If you need to call people back home, or someone needs to call you, you could message. You can, but also yes, you can, if you're using that City Mapper and Flighty and all these other apps, you're going to need data where you're going. So the one thing I would suggest, though, is when doing this, Google or use one of the GPTs, one of the LLMs like ChatGPT. What is the best? Which carrier gives the best coverage for where I'm going? So the places you're going, and actually I used ChatGPT to do this, and it told me these networks in Italy are the best ones for where you're going. And I'm glad I did that because the eSIMs are usually for one or more networks. And I found that a lot of the eSIMs, for at least for the Italy ones, were not great on the eSIM-DB for where the places I'm going. And so I ended up finding this other app called HaloFly, which is similar to eSIM-DB. It gives you, it's an app that's on my phone, but it gives you access to eSIMs for international travel. And so I put in Italy, and it has better networks than the ones that I found on eSIM-DB. And let's see, you put in the number of days that you're going, the number of eSIMs. Like, for example, if you're traveling with a spouse, you put in 2 eSIMs, or if you're going to be nice to your kids, you can get ones for them as well, I suppose. Suppose. And then it adds it up for you. And then you can, like, 1 day for unlimited data in Italy is $6.90. I'm not trying to get unlimited data for 1 day, but I could. But you could choose for different options of, length of time and amount of data and that sort of thing. And the way it usually works is you order ahead of time. Then it sends you a QR code and a manual installation code, and then you install your eSIM before the trip, but activate it once you've arrived at the destination. That's very important. So install the eSIM before, but don't activate it till your plane lands, and you turn on your phone, and now you activate it, and now it's running in that country. And you can switch back and forth to between SIMs. I mean, I'm not sure why because you can still get phone calls on your original SIM from back home if necessary, but you've got this eSIM for use in the country where you're traveling to. So, and then they have an app that lets you, gives you options to control it and add more data if you run out and that sort of stuff. So
it's actually called HoloFly, not HaloFly. HOLA.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I was going a little bungee.
Yeah.
I am Master Chief. No,
you were holy.
HoloFly. That's why that didn't come up when I Googled it earlier.
Oh, this sure beats buying, renting a cell phone when you get on the other side. Boy, that was a mess.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And, or just buying a SIM card at the airport.
That was more recent than when I was back in there.
And you have to take your SIM out of your phone and put it someplace safe for however long your trip is. Oh my gosh, that would be nerve-wracking.
Oh yeah.
I'd be so afraid of losing it. So eSIMs is much better.
Yeah, I remember. I'm sure people still do this. So it wasn't a bad option. But in 2017, I went to Japan, and we had a portable Wi-Fi. So you could buy it I think we bought it at the airport. It's just like this little
hotspot
square device, hotspot that you carry around everywhere, and it gives you coverage. And you can obviously, like me and my wife, we connected our phones to it and whatever devices we needed, unlimited data. Because I remember at the time, I don't know if it's changed. Probably eSIM is probably a better option these days, but for the price back then in 2017, it was a better option, at least for Japan. So do your research, obviously.
Yeah, and that would serve multiple people with a hotspot like that. When my nephew went to Japan, he just went on his ATT plan and got a $10 a day unlimited that he could do videos and everything else, while he was over there. And for him, that for $10 a day, that was reasonable. So, but
yeah, that's what we did in London and Paris. We have AT&T, and we just used their $10 a day plan.
Yeah, that's nice, because it used to be that even if you got so-called discount international, it was horrible. I had one client run up a $2,000 bill, and she'd only been in London a couple of days, and her secretary calls and says, "You've got to stop using the phone." She said, "But we got a discount." She said, "It's already up to $2,000. So,
man.
So there's I'll put a link in the show notes. The company called Solace, solacwifi.co, where they sell mobile hotspots.
Cool.
With data. Like you can get a 5G mobile hotspot and power bank. So it's a power bank with lifetime data, 10 gigabytes for $359. So
yeah, one of my buddies has one of those. Not necessarily that brand, but when he works, tech like I do, and so if a company loses their internet, he'll take one of those over there and charge them, for being able to use that internet for a while.
Nice, that's a great idea. And this Solus sells them, so this is better for people who travel a lot. But you, like you said, you can rent them too. Those are available, at various places. And you can also Mint has an international data plan, so like that. So it might be worthwhile to do the data plan for your U.S. carrier, or the international plan for your U.S. carrier as a backup, so that when you do have phone calls that aren't going to cost you ridiculous amounts of money roaming, and then but mainly use the data from the eSIM, because again the eSIM it's really cheap, considering. And
then use Wi-Fi at whatever hotel you're on, if you do need to make video calls.
Yeah, although, again, if anyone has ever tried to use Wi-Fi at a hotel, sometimes that can be...
Oh, that's true.
Not a great experience.
And sometimes not good security either. You have to have a VPN or something, too.
That's right. All right, so that is travel tech. Where this, obviously there's lots more we could talk about, but for now, that'll be our discussion this time. So if you have any advice or other ideas for travel tech, let us know at technology@sqpn.com, and we'll include it in a future show.
And Dom, when you come back, you need to give us feedback on some of the stuff.
Yeah, I'll give you my reviews of how my tech for travel worked out, which stuff was good and which stuff wasn't worth the price.
The money, yeah.
Yes. All right. For now, we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the secrets of technology, including Steve H., Teresa N., Samuel C., Ian S., and Nick W. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the secrets of technology and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. So we've been talking quite a while here. We got a couple headlines, but I think we're going to move past the headlines. There's nothing groundbreaking. We'll hold on to them for maybe next week or something like that, so that we can move to the picks of the week and get folks on their way. I want to be mindful of people's time especially in the summer. So let's move straight to our picks of the week. Pat, what is your pick this week?
Well, I haven't used a third-party firewall in a long time, but I had a client that was suspecting that they had somebody taking over their machine, and we could not find anything on the machine. So I found a firewall that I could put on there that it would identify what program, where it's going, and all that type of thing, so we could track it down. And the one I tried several, including Zone Alarm and Tiny Firewall, and I like Glasswire the best. And it's you can buy a premium package on it, but I just use the free one. But I think it's like $2.99 a month if you wanted to keep a permanent firewall. I just keep it running right now, and it's fascinating to see. You go in the logs and see very visually what's taking up what data, what IP addresses it's going to, the name of the website, all that type of thing. And just by hovering, it shows you exactly where the program is running from, so you can find the sneaky ones that are running out of the app data instead of a Microsoft folder, that type of thing. Now, I think they have it. I didn't look to see if they have it for Mac, but I bet you they do.
Right.
At least this one works in conjunction with the Microsoft firewall, so it's not like you've got two different competing firewalls to deal with. It's just hooks into it.
There isn't. It says Glasswire for Mac is not currently in development.
So, okay. All right. Well,
there's just a Windows and Android.
What is it? There's another one on Mac though that everybody uses. Anyway, that's mine.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up to see which one it is. There's a couple of different ones that are good firewalls on the Mac, but I don't remember off the top of my head. You can also use
Snitch.
Little Snitch. Little Snitch is great on the Mac. I also have talked about apps from Objective-C development, Objective-SEE development. there are a bunch of small apps that also monitor your Mac for malware and other sneaky stuff going on. So those are good. I've picked those before. Excellent. Thank you. Andrew, what's your pick this week?
Yeah, my pick, again, relevant to the topic, as I mentioned earlier, is the Anker laptop power bank, which has 25,000 milliamp hours. It's a beast. It
sounds like.
Yeah. So if
25,000.
Yeah. So if you're someone like me who likes to travel with like all their tech gear, like I'm usually bringing my MacBook, my Nintendo Switch, my iPad, and they got the kids' iPads and all that stuff, and obviously our phones. To keep those charged up on the go, you want something powerful enough that could charge up a MacBook. This is like amazing. It's flight approved, for something that's so powerful. You want to make sure that it's safe. You're able to bring it on the plane. Yeah. Yep. So and safe, obviously. The great thing about this one, I mean, it has two built-in USB-C cables. So if you forget to bring a cable with you, has one retractable USB-C cable on it and another one, an additional one.
The additional one is the lanyard itself.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like. Yeah, I've got some smaller ones like that, and those are so cool.
Yeah, it's super neat. And then it has 3 USB-C slots and a USB-A. It has a screen, a little LCD screen that tells you how much battery life you have left, and it tells you the output to make sure whatever you're charging is getting enough power. So that's pretty neat as well. And I just keep this thing in my backpack, like at all times. You never know when you're going to need it. It's very handy. And yeah, it's something that I know I'm going to keep forever until it,
dies.
Hopefully it doesn't blow up, but just dies. Right. I know Anker has had some issues with that in the past, but I love this thing, and it really came in handy traveling internationally, and I've used it a bunch of times since.
I have this exact same one, and I'm taking it with me.
Nice.
It is great. I love the screen with the readout. It tells you, it's charging, how much power it's pushing out to which port, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, this is and it is, like you said, it's 25,000 milliamp hours. That's a ton of power. So this will keep you going on an international flight, for sure. So excellent, good pick. So my pick is a little bit of a nostalgia pick. Astro Pinball is the classic Windows pinball machine game, and now you can get it on your iPhone. I'm sure you can go. It must be on Android and stuff like that. But it was a lot of fun to put it on my phone. It's free, it doesn't cost anything, and it's a little tricky to tap. You tap the screen for the flippers. I still haven't figured out exactly what I'm supposed to be doing for the plunger to shoot the ball. I usually can just
whack it.
I whack it at the screen, and it kind of just eventually makes its way out. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing. I'll figure it out. It's fun to even figure it out.
Maybe you could program one of the action buttons on the phone for it.
Yeah, so I could do the action button. That would be fun if they did that. But it is. It's. I love old pinball machines anyway, so it's a fun little diversion. It's nothing complicated. It's not an amazing, action shooter. It's just fun Astro Pinball. From
pure nostalgia.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You should not have told me about this. I'm going to probably spend
oh dear.
way too much time playing this.
Yes, it is a lot of fun. So Astro Pinball. And those are our picks of the week. And that's our show for this week. We would love to hear what you thought of our discussion. You can let us know by commenting on the show at sqpn.com/technology or the StarQuest Facebook page, facebook.com/StarQuestMedia. Send an email to technology@sqpn.com. Visit the StarQuest Discord community at sqpn.com/Discord. You'll find links from our discussion and our picks of the week on our show notes at starquest.fm/TEC305. Be sure to write a review of the show, Apple Podcasts, or any place you can review or rate the show. It's Spotify, you can do ratings as well. And share the podcast with your friends. That helps us grow our community and reach more listeners. And just a programming note before we go. Next week, we'll have a show. But after that, we'll be off for a couple weeks while I'm away. And then we'll come back and I'll tell you all about how my tech did on my trip. So until next time, Andrew Hermiz, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of technology.
Thanks for having me.
Pat Scott, thank you as well.
It's always fun to be here.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Technology on StarQuest. Here's another show on the StarQuest Network you're sure to enjoy. Vatican II in a Year. Find it wherever fine podcasts are found or at sqpn.com/Vatican.